Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for attending another quick webinar session for training. What we're going to be talking about real quickly today is how to correctly make sure that your website profiles and site settings are set up. So that way you can ensure that you've got information in place for the visitors of your websites to not only contact you, but that you've got certain features to kind of aid you in being able to share the information with the people that are requesting it. So, without further ado, when you first get into your Xseed marketing system, you're going to be met with the dashboard. I'm just going to real quickly talk about, of course, the dashboard. What we're looking at is the Start Building My Business tab first, or the panel, I should say. In the panel, what we're looking at is a couple of different options as far as being able to add new contacts, send a video out to those contacts or presentations, or even text messages. In one of our previous, of course, training sessions, we talked about being able to set up, of course, auto post applications. You can certainly do that from this particular button as well. And you can even add a to-do item or a reminder to let you know that, hey, you need to follow up with a certain contact, or you should be, following through, or, whatever reminder you want to set for yourself realistically. So the next couple of things that we're going to be looking at is these bottom three panels. We got the Set Up My Site panel, which we're going to be talking about as we go through the My Profile as well as the site settings themselves. Now you'll see in, of course, my site right now, I've got a number of these different items already green and checked off, meaning that I've completed these items. I have left one of them red on purpose to show you guys what it would look like. Some of you may have all X's. Some of you guys may only have a green check mark on the display information. That's quite all right. We're going to show you guys how to get through this, and like I said, get everything set up so that you're ready to rock and roll. The first thing I want you guys to take a peek at, though, is just whether or not you have any new announcements. If the system has any bugs or anything that we're noticing and it's affecting everybody, we'll likely put that information in the announcements. And then we'll also, of course, let you guys know when we add in new media or content as well through the announcements usually. Where we're actually going to go this evening is we're going to be looking at the Profile tab up here in the upper right-hand corner. As we hover above the words My Profile, we get a drop-down menu with several choices. We've got My Profile, My Site Settings, and then Team Access, which I'll finish off this training talking about. So the first thing that we're going to look at is the Profile, which contains a number of those different items on that home page or the dashboard that'll tell you whether or not you've got items set up. So we'll go back into the Profile. Once you're in the Profile, the first item that you're met with by default every time is the personal information. This personal information is only for account purposes. It's kept completely private and confidential. Any changes made here will not be reflected in your Xseed back office or even, of course, on your front-end websites. This is only basically going to be used for technical support representatives of the Xseed marketing system to be able to call you back or to be able to shoot you out an email, that kind of stuff. So if you've got different, of course, names, numbers, email addresses that you want to be contacted at about your system versus what your prospects or contacts would be using, this is where you're going to put that information. The next area on the left is the username and password. You'll notice that if you need to change your password or even the username, which governs what your website addresses are, you'll need to do that inside, of course, the Xseed system itself and contact Xseed corporate to get that taken care of. But you'll see the reason I wanted to show you guys is you've got two different website addresses through us, the first of which is going to be your myxseedproducts.com, and then we also have an xseedlifestyle.com. Of course, the products website itself is going to be more product-centric or product-focused, whereas the Xseed Lifestyle is going to be a little bit more about the company as well as the opportunities to be had by joining the organization. So these are specifically what my username is. My username in this case is Brian Xseed. So my full website address that I can hand out to some of my prospects or contacts for my products website would be brianxseed.myxseedproducts.com. Now, obviously, you probably wouldn't want to put Xseed as a part of your username. I've just done that for my demo or tutorial purposes because you don't want it to be too repetitious in the name or the address or anything. You don't want to confuse anybody to where they can't just, hop on the website and start looking at the information pretty easily. Again, that username translates into Brian Xseed for my Xseed Lifestyle for brianxseed.xseedlifestyle.com. You can certainly copy and paste these if you wanted to, just to go check out your own front-end website, so I can copy that. We'll come over here. We'll get rid of course, the Twitter page. We'll get that address in there, and it's going to pull me over, and there I am. I can look at, of course, all the different items. We've got the AOX Complete. We've got the Fresh, the X Bites, the Extreme, the Slender, and the Infuse. That's on the products website. The next item that we're going to be looking at on the left-hand side is going to be dealing specifically with the return address. Just in case you guys, in the future have any type of sampling systems, or you guys get any type of new upgrades or features, sometimes we'll use your own personal home address to be able to get those, particular samples that don't make it to their destination back to you or what have you. Go ahead and just fill out the information as where you would want to receive these items in the future as we start to build more and more onto your guys' Go Xseed marketing platform. The next item is going to be your email server settings, and I'm going to spend just a couple of moments talking about this because this is almost quite literally the most important part of your system to make sure that is set up and configured correctly. The email server settings are going to allow you to be able to send out any of the one-click emails, any of the autoresponders that you send out from the system. We, of course, don't provide you guys with any email accounts. There's a couple of different reasons for that. The first of which is if we were to get a blacklist on our domain from one person abusing the system, that doesn't affect all the other users that would be on that email domain. So that way one bad apple doesn't spoil the cart full. So the next reason is because each one of your guys' own personal email addresses you may already be using to keep in contact with, of course, some of your contacts list or some of your prospects. They already know that email address, so receiving information from that email address is just going to be natural for them. So what we're actually looking for in this is to configure this with your own personal email of choice. In this case, I've just got one of my test, of course, Yahoo accounts set up. You can set this up with AOL, Yahoo, basically any one of the providers that's in this drop-down. And then even if you don't see your provider in this list, you can still manually configure these settings. So in the username field, what we're looking for, as you can see in the little pop-up, it says some email providers require your full email address to be in this spot, which in this case is the obscuredpictures@yahoo.com. Some of your email providers may only, of course, use the username portion, which in this case, if that was, it would be just obscured pictures, and we could omit the @yahoo.com portion. But Yahoo does require the full email address. In the password section, you're going to put the password that you specifically use to log into that email account. This is likely not your Go Xseed password or any of your Xseed information. It can be, but it's likely not. However, it's going to be the password that you would use to access your email either through like a browser, by going to gmail.com, yahoo.com, or even some of the email clients like Thunderbird. You've got Mac Mail on the Apple systems, and then of course, you can certainly get Outlook, or of course Windows Mail Live and those different types of items. So if I've got my provider up here, I see them in the drop-down list, I can just select them. Now, one thing I will note is there's two different Yahoos in the list. If AT&T is your internet service provider and you get a Yahoo address from them, this is likely your choice. However, if you just go to straight yahoo.com to log into that email account, then you would just, of course, select the Yahoo, the second one in the list, the one that starts with the Y itself. So after I got that information in place, we're going to go ahead and save the email server settings. You'll notice I got a little success message letting me know that that went through just fine. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a test on those settings to make sure that they're configured correctly. Now, if they're not configured correctly, I'm going to get a big red error right here, and you're going to probably see this too. Now, what this is telling me is that the Yahoo server is rejecting this attempt for the email server settings test because of an incorrect username or password. Now, I happen to know that that is my Yahoo, of course, email address, so perhaps I typed in my password incorrectly. So I'm going to come down here, we're going to type it correctly again. We're going to make another save on those email server settings, and we're going to do another test. Now, once the test goes through, you're going to get a success message that pops up and tells you that a test email has been sent successfully. And then you can actually see I sent that to my work account, and there's my little Outlook telling me that I just got that. So here's that email address, or here's that email, I should say. So if you get a success, you'll go check, of course, the email account that you sent that test to, and you should have a message that says exactly this. Hello, you've successfully sent an email through your SMTP server, the Go Xseed team. So if you get a success, you're good. If you keep running into issues, you've tried everything you possibly can to get these, of course, working correctly. You know it's your password. You know what your correct, of course, email address is, but you still can't get them configured. That's when you probably want to stop what you're doing if you've got some time and hop on the phone or submit a ticket to us or even an email and let us know that you need some assistance. Sometimes these email server settings can kind of be tricky to configure, and the reason for that is some of the email providers will have secondary steps to set up an SMTP relay. And the reason for that is for your guys' security. They want to make sure that somebody's not hijacking your email accounts. So if you end up, trying to set this up with a Gmail account, you end up getting an email that talks about, hey, we just prevented a suspicious sign-in attempt. If you look inside that email and it says anything about Amazon or Amazon Web Services or AWS, you can be assured that that was your Go Xseed system trying to attempt to send out that test email. You usually can follow the troubleshooting steps in the last paragraph of that email and be able to get that taken care of. So again, anytime that you don't have these configured correctly, you're going to get a red error message, and I'm going to delete a character off of my password just to show you what that red message looks like again. If you get this to pop up, that means that they're not configured correctly, and the system will not be able to send out any autoresponders or one-click emails. So if you get this, contact somebody like myself, contact somebody in our offices and the technical support teams. We'll be able to figure this out and get you ready to rock and roll and being able to share that information via email. The next item that we're going to look at over on the social or inside the profile is the social networks, which we do have, of course, a tutorial or a webinar recording specifically for this part. So just to talk about it real quickly, you can also check that one out. It'll be put up in your guys' system underneath the training tabs. So within the social networks, of course, you're given the ability to authorize a Facebook application as well as a Twitter application for the purpose of pushing out content or status updates to your social networks. Some of those status updates or, of course, posts would contain generic information as well as company-specific information. You've also got an area for you to program social media icons or buttons inside of each one of the emails that the system is sending out. Again, those emails can be in the form of autoresponders, or they can even be in the form of just, one-click emails. The additional networks, again, we talked about in more depth and detail in the actual social networks, of course, tutorial. What these are for is to program additional social media links or ways for people to come and join you on your social networks on a bunch of different ones. So we got AIM, we've got, Pinterest, we've got YouTube, we've got Yahoo, MSN, Google+, Friendster, an older one is MySpace. I mean, you name it, and we've got something in here for just about every social network that we could find, even the foreign ones. So if you put your usernames in here, that's going to show on your front-end websites. Basically, if I were to click my contact badge up here, it's going to pull me in here, and there's that Pinterest and that YouTube. So again, for more in-depth and detail, watch the social networking tutorial for this, and this will all make more sense as we go in it in more depth. So that takes care of course, the profile. Now we've made sure that I've got information in place so a technical support representative or an account representative would be able to get in contact with you. Say you left a message, we need to contact you back for some troubleshooting or to resolve an issue. We've also shown you, of course, the username and /password area to show you what your URLs or what your website addresses that you'll be handing out to people so they can come visit you and, of course, look at the information. Return address, again, this is for future buildability within the site. If you want to fill this out at this point, you can go ahead and do so. It's not necessarily a requirement at this time. Email server settings, again, if you missed that part, rewind this webinar, go back and listen to how important these are to set up. Again, if you test them and you get a red error message, you can't get them to go through, stop what you're doing. If you have time, contact somebody in our technical support teams and we'll be able to help you configure those. Also, the social networks, again, we talked about. If you need to go more in depth in detail on this and how to set these up, what more of these items are for, please refer to, of course, the social networking training webinar. So that takes care of our profile. So we got 2 more tabs or 2 more items to go inside of course, setting up your guys' system. So what we're going to take a look at next is the site settings. Inside the site settings, the first thing that we're going to be met with by default is going to be our website display information. This information is going to appear on your website. This will let visitors know that it's your site and allow them to contact you. You know, you only want to list an email address in the email field, otherwise all your emails will not be sent to your prospects. So the other thing you want to do is put in, you know, you and your name, your husband's name, you know, if it's a team or if you guys got kind of a team name going on, you can put that in the name field. Phone numbers that you want to be contacted at or that you would be expecting phone calls from prospects or contacts on. Same thing with the email address. Now, a quick thing to talk about for the user type is we have it for a single user or multiple users or groups. Changing this type does not give you any additional logins or anything else for, you know, a husband or wife or anybody else on your teams or anybody that's helping you market. What this will do is it'll help you change the verbiage that's used on your website. So if you have it, you know, set as single, it'll use terms like me, mine, you know, and those kind of things. And if it's plural, it'll be, you know, we, us's, and ours. You know, denoting that there's plural or multiple people that they could potentially be dealing with when they contact you. You've also got a quick area just to put a short biography about yourself. You know, let the people know any applicable information that you would think would be beneficial in your prospecting process. Let them know about your personal testimonial. Let them know how you got started in this particular, you know, business model or whatever. Like I said, you know, if it's applicable to your approach and how you're prospecting or, of course, you know, sharing the information, put that there. We also give you the capability to upload a profile photo. So real quickly, we'll just go ahead and do this. We're going to click Add a Profile Photo. It's going to give you the option to browse for that particular picture on your system. So I'm going to get a little pop-up here in just a moment. It's going to ask me where on the computer I want to find this info. I don't have any on my desktop, I don't think. We'll double check. And I don't. Well, we're not going to go digging through, of course, all my photos. But essentially, you just look for the file that you want. You tell it OK, and then you click the upload. And then essentially, you're just going to do a drag and drop or a pinch and zoom crop on that particular photo. And then, of course, it shows up on your website. So up here, if we go back, instead of course, showing this beach scene right here, it'll actually show my photo. So we're going to head back out of course, the upload profile photo. We're still back at website display information. After you've made any changes, just be sure to, of course, click on this green Save button, or else those changes will not be live or instant in that matter. The newsletter display is kind of built out, of course, also for future buildability of the website, if that's even a word. But as we begin to, of course, flesh out more and more of the system, develop more and more items for you guys to be able to share with people, we're going to be able to, of course, use like newsletter display. So you can actually have a different display than what you have being displayed on, of course, your your website. So if you've got like a special 800 number or something like that that you'd be using, you know, only for newsletters you're sending out to be able to identify, you know, some of your contacts or prospects by the method or manner they contact you, that would be a way to do it. The next thing that we're going to talk about is your actual autoresponder triggers. You can have the system automatically kick somebody onto an automatic drip email that's basically going to be a campaign of several different emails that are spaced out, you know, over several days, and you can have the system automatically put these people on it based on a number of different actions happening. So the first two that we have is if somebody of course, comes through my product page and they get put, come through my Xseed products page. You know, they fill out the lead capture page. They give me their contact information. I can choose to automatically put them onto a product campaign. That way, the system will automatically send out those supplemental pieces of information based on their visit to that website. I can do the very same thing for the Xseed Lifestyle, which is basically your opportunity-themed website. So if people come through that URL or that domain and they give me their contact information, I can then begin to send them out a campaign that's a little bit more opportunity themed. Of course, the next one's going to be for future upgrades to the system. If at any point in the future Xseed begins to offer any type of contacts or leads from corporate, you can put them onto a specific campaign of that choice. But for the moment, just leave this one as none. And then we've got what I'd consider to be two of my favorite ones. This kind of takes the guessing game out of whether or not somebody has viewed information that I've sent them. So these are what I consider to be conditional triggers. You know, they just didn't submit information on my websites. They have actually done or not done something in these regards. So we've got a contact does not watch a presentation and a contact does watch a presentation. So if I send out, you know, a one-click email to somebody that's got, you know, a video in it or it's got a web page link in it, you know, and they basically don't click on that or they don't open the email, I can automatically put them onto a different campaign, you know, several days after them not completing that action. And that's what this trigger after dropdown is for. So let's say I want to put them onto, you know, my own personal campaign, or I want to put them onto a product campaign, you know, let them know, hey, I already sent you out a product video or an introduction, you know, or a pre-launch video, but here's, you know, some new information about all the different products. So, you know, I don't want to necessarily send this one day after the person has not watched what I sent them, just because that might be a little bit spammy. But how about we give them, you know, 3 to 4 to 5 days to be able to view that information, and if they haven't viewed it by then, you know, it's pretty much safe to say they may have not received the email, they just may have overlooked it, or, you know, they just may have not replied to it or said anything. So you can put them onto a product campaign. Same thing with the contact does watch a presentation. The system will actually know that they clicked on the item that you put in the email for them to, of course, you know, come through, and you can send them like, you know, your own campaign that you set up that says, thank you for looking at the information. If you got any, you know, questions or comments, here's my contact information. Feel free to get in touch with me. Those different types of things. So again, you're going to want to be able to use these particular ones to kind of your guys' benefit, to kind of have the system send out your automated responses or automatically following up with somebody based on either their visits to both of your websites or one or the other, or, you know, based on their actions of either watching or not watching, or I should say opening and viewing or clicking on some of the materials that you have available for them in each one of the emails. So after I make any changes here, you're going to make use of course, that Save button again. The next item that we're going to look at inside the site settings is notifications. The Xseed site actually has the ability to notify you anytime that somebody views one of your custom presentations, signs up on any one of those, of course, you know, lead capture pages, or submits their contact information, request more information, and, you know, of course, they return to the websites. The notifications can actually be sent to you via email and or text messages. Sometimes if you don't receive the notification, just check your spam or junk mail folders. And you can actually specify up to 5 different email addresses that you want to receive notifications at. So if there's multiple email addresses that you're constantly pulling information from, feel free to, of course, put those in there. So I've got my email address in here that I want to receive it at. There is going to be one thing a little tip and trick I'm going to show you guys, is how to get an email sent to your phone as a text message for a notification style. So essentially, we've got a little blurb about it right here inside of course, this little pop-up window. It says you may also input your mobile phone number's email address to receive an email to SMS notification. An example of that would be this phone number at txt or text.att.net. So essentially, let's say I happen to be with T-Mobile, right? So we're going to click in here. My phone number, we're just put it in as all digits without any spaces or anything like that. And then I'm going to put my, of course, SMS address for T-Mobile. So T-Mobile's is actually tmomail.com. Again, 10-digit phone number. And that'll ensure that anytime I want to receive a notification on my cell phone, I'm not burning up any SMS text credits or anything like that. I can just receive a simple email to text translation about that action. Again, just to kind of show you guys, if you happen to have AT&T, it's going to look something like txt.att.net. If you have Verizon, it's going to be vtext. Oh, let's spell that correctly, vtext.net. And if you have Sprint, I think it's something like, so it's your 10-digit number at messaging.sprintpcs.com. And that'll make sure, of course, you can receive them on Sprint. So we just went through a couple of course, the top dogs. We went through Sprints. We just saw AT&T's, also T-Mobile's, and Verizon. Okay, let's see, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, and Sprint. So that's the big four ones. If you don't happen to know, of course, your email or your, I should say, cell phone provider's email address to your cell phone, just give them a call, of course, on their text message. Just ask them, hey, what's my cell phone's SMS gateway? They'll be able to provide that information for you, and of course, you can come in here and set that up. So now I've got, of course, my email address as well as my phone number. I'm going to receive notifications at a couple of different spots. Now onward to what some of the notifications actions are. So again, anytime that somebody views a custom presentation, meaning they click on my email, they come check out the video, they check out, you know, a specific spot on my website, or they come check out a presentation, it'll let me know. So I go ahead and check that off. I can also, of course, tell them that the new contact registers through my lead capture page. So as soon as somebody submits their contact information for me, I can receive a notification about that, and that gives me, of course, ample time to probably immediately follow up with them should I choose to do so. You can also choose to be notified whether somebody returns to the website. This is a good, helpful, of course, notification to get in case somebody's, you know, I hate using these terms, but maybe dragging their feet. You know, they're not necessarily, you know, 100% interested. Maybe they told you, hey, I'll check out the information, you know, maybe in a couple of weeks. But if you start seeing that that person's been back to your website a lot, they're obviously, you know, ingesting a lot of information. Maybe that's your cue to contact them and just ask them if they've got any questions or concerns, or if you can answer any product questions for them. And then obviously anytime that somebody requests more information, we want to jump right on that and give them the information that they're requesting, whether that be, of course, about the opportunity or the different product lines or products that we have. You can, of course, save the notifications. You can also send a test to the email and mobile real quickly. It's going to go ahead and send that information out. Go ahead and save the notifications, and we're good. The next item I want to show you guys on the left-hand side inside of My Site settings is your ability to come in and turn the lead capture page or the landing page off or on at your guys' control. You don't have to call in, have us take care of it. You can actually come inside the system and turn this on or off as you choose. Of course, if the lead capture page is on, it'll always ask for somebody's first name, last name, and email address, but you can additionally require them to submit their phone numbers and mailing addresses. Now, somebody submitting their phone numbers isn't as big as an issue these days. You know, people back in the day didn't want to hand out phone numbers for sales situations. Now everybody's got their own personal phone number. It's not such a huge big issue. Of course, you know, somebody submitting mailing addresses, just from my, of course, experience in the field and everything, a lot of people aren't going to give you their mailing addresses unless they're going to be getting a sample from you in some form or fashion, whether that be, you know, literature or any type of course, product samples, you name it. So I would usually just ask, of course, for the phone number itself, you know, click inside there, click save, and bam, the lead capture page is on. Or I can turn it to off and then also click on that save option. The next item over on the left-hand side is something that we've already talked about, of course, in this webinar, is dealing with the email server settings. You'll actually notice that there's a couple of different ways to get to this spot because of how important it is. If you don't ensure that, of course, those email server settings are configured correctly, again, the system's not going to be able to send out any of those autoresponders or any of the one-click emails or email communications that you want to get out to contacts or prospects. The homepage customization, this is again for future builds into, of course, the system. Should we give you guys a new button for you guys to externally link to, of course, another resource, say a YouTube channel that's got your own videos on it or your own blog or something like that, we could probably get something like this built into the system into the future for you guys, but you guys don't necessarily use it at the moment. And also the area of focus. Now, what this is going to do is basically hard set yourself into one aspect of the business. Are you in it only for the products, or are you in it only for, of course, the opportunity side? So if I were to set this for products, that means everything that I send out from the system is always going to have some type of a products feeling to it. Whereas everything that I send out from the system, if I were to choose Go Xseed Lifestyle, is going to kind of have an opportunity theme to it. So all the emails I'm sending out, people are going to be viewing that information on the Go Xseed Lifestyle site instead of course, my products website. If you kind of like to do both sides of it, my best suggestion is just to not touch this and leave it at no default. But again, if you want to kind of pigeonhole yourself into one aspect, maybe you're just worried about building your business or building your downlines at this point, you can focus more on the opportunity side. Or of course, if you're just beginning and wanting to share, of course, the products to begin building your downline, then you can start using the products as well. But again, I like being able to be kind of, flexible as far as, okay, I talked to this person, they want my website address, I'm going to give them my products because they're interested in my products. Or I've talked to this person, they're looking for investment opportunities or a way for supplemental or residual income, I'm going to send them over to, of course, the opportunity themed website. Sorry for that. And that kind of takes care of course, the site settings. So again, we've gone through the profile. I won't talk too much more about that, but I will recap what we just gone over inside the site settings. So the first thing we looked at, website display. Again, this is all the information that's going to be displayed to visitors who come to your website. So if you put your home phone number up there, there are late owls that come to the websites in the middle of the night. There might be a couple of people that, might be brave enough to call you at 3 o'clock in the morning, not realizing that's your home phone number. So just be mindful of that. This is, a number that you're going to want to put that you're going to be expecting communications at. Same thing with the email address. Again, for, in the future, once we start building out, newsletters for you guys, you'll start to be able to use a different display set if you wanted to for those. Autoresponder triggers, a great way to automatically put somebody onto a follow-up campaign based on, their visit to your website or them volunteering their contact information to you, as well as, whether or not somebody does or does not watch a presentation. We also took a peek at the notifications. Again, this system will let you know pretty much up to the minute, or like we say up to maybe 5 minutes to deliver a text message or your email address to let you know that somebody's returned to the website, somebody's requested more information, somebody just registered on your lead capture page, or that person that you just sent a presentation or an email to has viewed that information. Again, the lead capture page, this is your ability on the front end to capture somebody's contact info, giving you the ability and putting the power of the follow-up in your own hands. If you don't choose to use a lead capture page, you could potentially have a lot of anonymous visitors come to the website that you're not going to be able to capture like an email address or a phone number for you to follow up with them on. So you're almost essentially sitting on your hands waiting for somebody to pick up the phone or to open an email and shoot you off, of course, hey, I want to find out more about this, or hey, how do I get to, to try out this product, or, how do we get started? Whatever the conversation might be, if you don't have the lead capture page, you're leaving, of course, it up to the person to contact you. Again, email server settings, we won't talk too much about that, so we can kind of keep this training short and sweet. If you need to kind of go back, again, we've talked about it a couple of times in this webinar, more specifically towards the beginning of it when we first went through just the My Profile section. So, go ahead and rewind all the way back there. You'll want to look into it. Again, if you get any error messages, you can't configure this correctly, contact us and we'll be able to get that taken care of for you. Of course, the homepage customization, not necessarily applicable to you guys now, but in the future, you guys could possibly be able to set up external links to, of course, again, forums, your own blogs, your own, specific, YouTube channels for your own videos, whatever the case may be. We'll probably have that available for you guys sometime in the future. And then, of course, the area of focus, being able to kind of drill down what kind of aspect of the business are you all about. Are you about the products? Are you about the Xseed lifestyle, the opportunity, or everything that you send up from the website? Do you want it to have a product feel to it, or do you want it to have an opportunity feel? Again, if you leave that at no default, the system's not going to make a distinction. It's just going to try to keep things generic. And then, of course, depending on what website the person actually comes through, meaning if they come through your products website, they set their area of focus and not you as a whole for the whole website. So if you need more information, of course, about the My Profile or the My Site settings that we've gone through so far this evening, contact a technical support representative. We'd be happy to, of course, discuss these items with you guys. Make sure that you've got everything in place, again, to make sure that you can contact people who visit your website if you capture their contact infos, or even that you've got the correct correct information in place so somebody's able to contact you and is able to view the information pretty quickly and easily. The last thing that we're going to talk about before we close out this training webinar session as we get a little bit closer to the 40-minute mark is we're actually going to be talking about the team access. Now, team access is going to be a great way for you guys to start sharing information with your up and down lines as you begin to create your own custom content into, of course, the system. Now, I'm going to be, of course, in the future recording a new tutorial that talks specifically about some of your guys' prospecting options and some of the digital items or digital media items that you're able to send out from the system. Some of that information that you're able to send out can be in the form of, custom email scripts, custom autoresponders, custom presentations that you start to put together as we put more video content into the system for you. And we've provided a way for you guys to share that information with people from within the system. We've listed over many years of our platforms of people, having to go outside of the system to share, an autoresponder that they created. They want to, have their downline use that same one. They've had to copy and paste it from our system, put it in an email and then instruct that person on how to, go inside their system and then add it and then save it and then use it. So instead of all that complicatedness, we've actually made it very simple for you guys to create your own team names. So I can come in here and I can create my own team. So we're going to do Brian McKenna, all together, no spaces. That's going to be my team name code. And then if I give that team name code out to any one of course, my, downline or upline or anybody else that's got access to the Xseed marketing system, if they join my team essentially by putting the Brian McKenna right here in this box and clicking join team, they're going to have access to all my custom autoresponders, all my custom, of course, let me say that again. They'll have access to all your autoresponders, all your custom email scripts, and they're also going to have, access to, of course, those custom presentations as you guys begin to build those. Of course, we will be talking more in depth and detail in a future tutorial specifically about this prospecting menu as well as your guys' contacts and stuff. So stay tuned for another one as we get that one recorded and underway for you guys. Again, if you want more information about how team settings work or any of the other information that we've talked about in this training session, don't hesitate to, of course, give us a phone call in the office. We're very friendly, very happy to, of course, get you guys helped out and make sure that you guys are as successful as possible using the tools that you're provided. So thank you so much, guys, for, of course, hanging out with me for about the last, 40 minutes or so. It's certainly fun to be able to come into, of course, your guys' phones or into your ears, sometimes and be able to kind of help train the field and get you guys prepared and excited to use the system that you'll be using to reach out and share the information. So again, stay tuned. We'll have another webinar training session dealing with the contacts and the prospects, specifically with these two different tabs. So thank you so much for showing up, and you guys keep it safe.